Welcome to the channel. Today I want to tell you about Carnival Row. Spoiler alert. We find ourselves in a fantasy world where there are different races in addition to humans. This world is not like a fantasy fairy tale. This world is filled with discord and conflict between races. The first episode begins with humans with guns chasing fleeing fairies. All the fairies are killed except for the fairy Vignette Stonemoss. She runs away from the soldiers with guns. At the last moment she manages to jump off a cliff. Vignette makes it to a ship full of refugees. She leaves the continent of Tiernanog, occupied by the packed soldiers, and heads with other refugees to Berg, the capital of the republic of the same name. During the night, the ship is caught in a violent storm and crashes. The wreckage is washed ashore at Borges. Vignette is the only survivor of the ship. We are transported to the town of Borges. The protagonist, Inspector Philo, walks through the poor, racially diverse area of Carnival Row. He arrives in Carnival Row to find a serial killer. Philo arrives at the surviving victim and discovers that the killer was bald and had a tattoo on his forearm. Walking down the street, Philo talks to his friend Tourmaline about the investigation. We are then taken to the Spernraz family home. It transpires that the sunken ship belonged to Ezra Spernraz, who lives in one of the richest areas of the city. To work off a crossing fee in the borough, Vignette becomes the maid of Ezra's sister Imogen. With difficulty, Vignette settles into her new duties as a maid. Meanwhile, Philo continues his investigation, but so far without success. Already in the evening at home, Philo makes love to her friend. She tries to get to know Philo better, but he is withdrawn and won't tell anyone about his past. Vignette is cleaning the bathroom and notices her landlady Imogen's perfume. She pours it down the sink. Imogen sends Vignette out to fetch new perfume. This becomes a chance for Vignette to visit her best friend Tourmaline. She finds the hotel where her friend lives, but it turns out to be a brothel where fairies provide intimate services. Vignette is very sad because all of the refugees she wanted to rescue have died. She also learns from Tourmaline that her former lover Philo turns out to be alive. Philo suspects that Tomby's fellow serviceman is the killer, but he eventually learns that there are sailors in the port who are let off the ship every 3 weeks and murders occur during this period. Imogen has been looking for a man to marry for a long time. Just next door, a very wealthy mystery man is buying a house. Imogen is keen to meet him. With her brother, she sets off to meet the arriving neighbor. They are met not by a man but by a fawn. They think it is a servant, but it turns out to be the rich man. They are definitely confused. The Chancellor's son comes to the hotel to have some fun with the fairies. They make love. Up at night, he goes out on the balcony and is kidnapped. Philo goes to the drinking sailors to find the murderer. He pretends to be drunk and pushes the suspect to look at the tattoo. The bald man turns out to be the murderer and Philo goes after him. He chases him across the rooftops and eventually catches up with him. The murderer warns that the god of darkness has awoken beneath the city, after which he commits suicide. At night, Vignette takes a knife and goes to Philo's house. Philo comes home and finds his girlfriend in his room. They quarrel and she leaves. Philo goes to bed. Vignette sneaks into Philo's room and puts a knife to his throat. She wants to kill him for all the years she has suffered, for she thought he was dead. In the end, she hesitates to kill him and flies away. The series ends with a fairy walking along the shore. She is grabbed by some creature from the sewers and dragged away with her. In the morning, Philo apologizes to his girlfriend for yesterday. Philo learns that another fairy corpse has been found. There are guts and traces of blood lying around the cannulation. It turns out that the murdered woman's name is Aisling and she was a popular singer. Philo and his partner head to Aisling's house. There they find Aisling's friend suffering. It turns out that he is the owner of a kobold troupe and has come to spend the night with his old friend. Aisling's friend says her voice was unparalleled and turns on the music on the thunderphone. A fawn comes to the hotel for Ion, the Chancellor's son, and realizes he has been kidnapped. Next, we are shown a completely naked Ion with a sack on his head. The Chancellor and his wife are informed of their son's abduction. Imogen is walking with Vignette and it begins to rain, but Vignette forgets her umbrella and runs off after it. It begins to pour, but no one shelters Imogen under the umbrella except the rich faun Agrius. They chat and he says he knows what Imogen desires and that he smells the urine of a rare creature that men cannot resist. Philo goes to his faun acquaintance, who will be able to perform an autopsy on Aisling. An autopsy on Aisling's body reveals that the corpse is missing its liver. Vignette does the cleaning and Ezra tries to harass her, but is rebuffed sharply. She kills herself and Ezra lies that Vignette was trying to steal money. Vignette flies in to Tourmaline. Tourmaline proposes that Vignette join the rebel fairy band the Black Crow. To prove her loyalty, Vignette is given a test. She is required to steal a flag from the police building. Philo arrives at the station and overhears about Imogen and Ezra filing a report against Vignette. Philo goes to see Ezra and pays off the debt for Vignette. Next, we are shown Ion again. And it turns out that the kidnapping was staged by Ion's mother Pleiade herself. Vignette sneaks into the station and his friend Tourmaline distracts the cops by taking off and she grabs a dangling flag. Vignette escapes and meets Philo, and he lets her go. This is how the second episode of the Carnival Row series ends. Dear friends, thanks for watching. Follow the channel and like it. See you soon.